And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. So you are here with us on the helpful. So you guys are here with us on the Sports is My Love Language podcast. And we are super excited here tonight. I got the crew with me. And we got a really good show. Just based off of the pre-production, we really brought it home and kind of like fine-tuned some really cool topics, man. And like I said, this is where you come. We try to stay off the beaten path. If it's on the mainstream media, we're going to take the road less traveled, but we're going to talk about things that we know are on your mind, or things that have crossed the mainstream media, but they didn't address. So we're really excited to have you all here today. All the crew is here. We got my boy Pablo, Dre. I got my man Javito. I got my man AK, and UCG should be joining us any second now. But other than that, man, we're ready to go. As a matter of fact, let me put my man UCG in right now. So the first topic of the night will be we're going to be talking about kids in high school foregoing their senior season. I'm not talking about after football season. I'm talking about senior year football season starts and an athlete is being recruited by Division I, a 4-star, 5-star, says to his school, I'm going to sit out this season. I'm not going to play with my teammates that I've been playing with for 3 years. I'm not playing with them. I'm taking my talents to my Division I school. I don't want to get hurt. I'm really interested to know, what are your thoughts? What are you guys thinking about when it comes to that topic? Pablo, we can start with you.
I have no problem with a student foregoing their senior season if there's a greener pastures at the college level. If they are a highly recruited athlete, they've got the scholarship, they know they're going to be playing, contributing right away as soon as they get to college, I have no qualms with them foregoing their senior season and getting ready to go into that new transition. And now with the college nil, and I'm not going to get too much into it because I know we have that as a topic for down the road, but that is a factor now because it also gives them an opportunity to start to make money off their likeness if they are that heavily recruited, going to a big-time program, and it's just going to be, a better life for them. I got no issues with that. I played high school sports. I was never a star athlete. I was never, an integral part of the team, in terms of a start or anything like that. So, I could see other folks that, and one of these guys may take that path about, well, what about your team now? But, from my perspective, if it were me, dude, take the opportunity because, there's going to be potential. And now there's money also as well. Go for it. I got no qualms with it at all. Business is business, even though they may be 17, they're possibly 18 years old, depending on, what month it is. It's a good opportunity to start your brand, start your business. I got no problems with someone taking that initiative or the parents and the kid taking that initiative.
Dre, what do you think?
For me, I think I think the decision should be up to the family, the kid. If the kid has fulfilled his requirements as far as the amount of credits required to graduate early from high school, done everything to satisfy all of that, I don't see why it should be an issue if it's for his better interest to sit out to prevent an injury or anything like that, any kind of freaky stuff that could happen during that time period before he actually gets to make it to the next level. For me, I think, and for everyone who has an opinion on it, it would be whether their opinion is favored towards the program or the player.
That I agree with, yeah.
If their opinion is based towards the player, then they're all in, whatever is best for the player. But then I have no problem with the diehards who are all about the program. Keep programs going, volunteer, do that type of stuff. Their outlook on it might be being disloyal, stuff like that. So,
and that's where I want to play devil's advocate for you guys. I don't want to like, because it's pretty obvious that we're kind of going to be in the same vein where we say, hey, if you're a college recruiter, and you're looking at this kid. Do you hold that against him, that he's not loyal in your eyes? Because some people will say that. He's not loyal. Oh, he's given up on people that he's rode with this whole time. He's given up on his teammates. When times get hard, will he give up on his teammates? When things get tough, will he want to just bounce on us? That's the question I have. When times get hard, will he give up on his teammates?
Let me jump in here for a second. I mean, this is so. What is that like? Would you, if that college is saying that? So are they saying that? Oh, if this guy is a fantastic college player, he's going to bounce in 2 years when he's eligible to. Would they not still want him? I mean,
if that's the pattern.
Like this is.
If that's the pattern, yeah.
I mean, first of all, who in their right mind would say, "Oh, you shouldn't go, even though it's best for you and your family because of this high school program"? That also doesn't make sense. That kid has probably been starting since freshman year. At least sophomore year, he's built that program to make other kids come, right? Or continued that tradition of excellence. I mean, this to me is kind of like a Karen play, right? Like it's somebody just complaining because they want it done a certain old school way. I can't see how anybody would have an issue with this as long as he's graduating. And then imagine that. I mean, he's getting taught that you have to be efficient in your responsibilities to be able to
graduate early. Yep.
I mean, I see a bunch of positives. The downside, obviously, is the kid doesn't get to enjoy senior year of high school. But I don't see that much of a difference between that or leaving college early. You're missing on an experience that'll help shape you, but you're doing it for what's best for you.
So I feel that so I disagree with all of you. The reason why is because when you're an athlete, you're in a rhythm, you're in a routine, you're working out, exercising, you're taking the hits, you're doing stuff. So now all of a sudden you sit out a year. What's there to say is first game back, boom, season, career-ending injury. It could happen. So that's one of the ways to look at it. I'm not saying it's the only way to look at it. I have a laundry list of reasons to look at it. The other thing, so if he's going to bounce on his high school teammates for the college, is he not going to bounce on his college teammates for the pros for the same reason? So he's showing a certain trend. Also, you played a certain way. If I'm a player, I play the game. That's the only thing that I care for. And as far as I'm concerned, I play. If it's a tough family decision going pro, like LeBron James kind of a situation, I get it. That's the only time I would sit. Going to college, you could get hurt any day in college. It means absolutely nothing.
Let me ask Uzi a quick question. Let's say you're whatever sport. Let's say you love basketball and you go to the courts and you have the opportunity to play with a bunch of 7-year-olds, but if you wait a half an hour, the good run's going to come. Like, are you not going to wait for the good run? I mean, it's not like you don't love the sport and you don't want to play. You're training every single day with a staff that is much more well-equipped to fine-tune your game, with a health system, a diet, everything. Like, that's where I want
to play devil's advocate only because I am on one side of this. But I want to play devil's advocate because I'll say this. A lot of the argument that I've seen is that it's starting too soon to rob kids of their youth. And we have seen with child actors, we've seen with some athletes, we're not gonna act like LeBron, Kobe are the rule. They're the exception. They are the exception. We're not gonna act like they're the rule, where that's how wholehearted and everybody turns out great. That's not how it happens. There's a lot more sob stories and a lot of failed stories than there are. Even with child actors, a lot of them, look at Michael Jackson. His youth was robbed from him. So there's definitely case studies for people whose youth was robbed from them too early. They didn't have the opportunity to be a child. Now, when I mean child, because once you get to college, now you're a young adult. The mistakes you made as a senior in high school, you can't make those in college. You know what I mean? Or you can't act the way as immaturely as you did when you were in high school. So that's kind of that. And I think that's one of the major arguments. It robs these kids. And when does it stop? It becomes a slippery slope. It definitely becomes a slippery slope. When do we stop it? What's next? They're going to forgo junior year and senior year. Oh, you know what? All of high school because he's a 5-star coming out of 8th grade. Where does it stop? And the bad part about it, it is a business. And because it's a business, we understand that they don't have the interest of these kids in mind. Now, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna let Usman finish your point, Go to Javi, and then I'll finish mine.
So, like, to answer your question, if these 7-year-old strangers want to play with me, it's not the same as the guys that I've been playing with for the past 4 years. They're my teammates. What if we're in the state championship? What if I'm the centerpiece of winning that championship? I'm bailing on my championship potential because of a selfish reason. Shows a big deal about my character that I wouldn't want to be part of someone like that. So that's my take on it. But go ahead, Javi.
I mean, I hear everybody. And I'm going to touch a little bit about what Mike just said. When does it stop? I don't know if it ever does stop. Why? We are basically getting to a point where kids are becoming, let's just say, 9-year-olds are really becoming teenagers a lot younger now, right? We're basically seeing kids basically be adults a little bit faster. Even the teaching method basically in school seems like they're basically trying to get them to be an adult that much faster. Now, I get your point as what you say, Lucy, as far as basically, championships, is he going to forego all of that? But let me just ask you this. What if he's from a, let's just say, background that doesn't have much, okay? And he has the potential to go to school now, free ride, and now with the changes of basically making income while being a player at certain schools, that changes the whole dynamics as to why you would forego maybe your junior in your season in your senior season. Why? Because you're going to make money, right? And now you're going to be able to put basically food on the table for the family that maybe they don't have enough at this point. So I guess it just basically depends on, what your background is. Let's just say a kid that doesn't have a lot of money, or the family doesn't have a lot of money right now. What are you going to do? Take the money. You're going to basically take that money and you're going to be like, senior season is not going to provide the income as far as basically what my future income will. So I'm going to sit this out. And yes, I'm going to be selfish because of my family.
So I just want to add something before we move on. So as far as a teenager, a young teenager, that's where you retain the most of the skills that you're going to use and continue to use throughout your professional career if you turn to a profession. So that kid obviously is on a level that's at least a gray area in between high school and college. Else he wouldn't have the option or the opportunity to leave early and go to school early. That means he's better than the average high school kid. Maybe he's ready. And what if you hold him back and you slow down his trajectory as far as getting ready for the next level? And that slows down his trajectory for getting to the pros. Like Javi said, what if that kid wants to be a one and done? What if this spring is going to help him get acclimated to the climate on the college team so that he can start and contribute and get out of there after freshman year?
So here's the deal. I like to be devil's advocate. I like to give you that side of it. But the truth is, right, I'm going to say this. Even on the internet, there's a part of it that I didn't feel was being addressed. All right. What I didn't feel was being addressed was that there's a lot of kids, right, that the chance of them getting out of their neighborhood, period, right, is drastically reduced because of where they live, because of where they're from. Like a lot of these kids, when they forego their senior season, let me backtrack. If you have a full parent household, you live in a nice suburb, your parents are, they have the means to keep you there, enjoy your youth, that's fine, But there's some kids they look to the left, they look to their right, and their senior year, their little class that they're graduating with, or supposed to graduate with, has been cut in half by violence. And the fact that they can get out and leave, to me, is a one-way ticket out of poverty, out of this violence, out of this situation where, I could be the next victim. I could be the next victim. You know what I mean? So if you get into that, if we're talking about that type of kid, where he looks around and he says, my cousin got shot, my whatever's in a gang, poverty's everywhere, all I see is drugs. Yeah, send him to Oregon. Get out, go to Notre Dame, go to Florida, Miami, get out, go. see a different part of the world. You know what I'm saying? See the beauty that's out there, as opposed to the crime and the poverty that's around you. So I'm 100% with it. Where I do worry is what I talked about earlier, the slippery slope, because now these kids are only looked at as a commodity. Right? And unfortunately, you have people even in their lives that are around them that treat them as such. You know what I mean? So like, not only do you have to protect the kids from the coaches, the business side of it, but now you also have to protect them from people in their community that are going to try to like take advantage. That uncle, that cousin, that whatever that wants to be the agent, the manager. Now you got to protect them from them as well. So I think, yes, let them be out, let them go out. But if you're going to do that, I think I want to hold the college level, the NCAA, and all them responsible for a portion of that. I want to look at them and say, if you're going to allow this, what are you doing to protect these kids? What are you putting in place to protect them? You know what I mean? Because I know they're doing it because they made that decision. But you have to hold the part of it that it's a business. You have to hold the part of it that they're being exposed to things that they would be able to be hold off for just a little while longer. You know what I mean? So what are you doing to put in place? That's my only argument against it. Right now, I don't feel that there is a body or something in place to protect the children when they leave early. They leave early. Let's say they get hurt their first year. They leave early, they get hurt in college. And they get the scholarship or whatever. But the dream doesn't pan out. Like I said before, Kobe, LeBron, and all these guys that come out, there are more Maurice Clarett's than there are those guys. There's way more Maurice Clarett's than there are those guys. You know what I mean? So that's where I kind of get into it. And I'm like, you know what? Well, I think we should, whatever.
Well, I mean, without really seeing, we'd have to literally see the numbers of how many, from the recruiting class, right? The top, 50 players or whatever like that. Because at least for right now, it doesn't apply to a lot of kids. It just applies to the elite. You know what I'm saying? The elite of the elite that can do this, whether it's for difficult, tough background that they come from, or whether they're not coming from a tough background and it's just an opportunity to start your career sooner. I don't see where that issue is, unless the kid really wants to be part of that high school team and win that state championship. Outside of that, I really don't see what why they should come out. And Uzi, to your point about if they're going to leave early now, they're going to leave early in college. They're already leaving early out of college in let's say in football. So what's the difference? It's no different.
That transition. Sorry to cut you off, Pablo.
Yeah, no worries.
That transition from level to level is allowed. It's normal in every other sport. A young gymnast, you always hear about it at the Olympics. Oh, she's the youngest ever. She's not ready, but she's better than everybody else that they have. Yeah. So they put her forward because that's their best option. Like, that's normal in all of sports. You always see it. Somebody from the farm league coming up early, 19-year-old in the majors. You see it all the time, and one can make an argument that guy could have used a couple more years in AAA. But
and Mike, to your point about the college having something there for them, there should already be something there in general for these kids incoming anyway.
Yes,
no matter what,
yes. It
doesn't matter whether they cut their senior season in high school sooner or they're still a prize recruit coming in,
right.
After graduating, from high school. There still should be something there in general. So there is a general responsibility. And as far as to your other point, Mike, about, those relatives or those people that come out of the woodwork, I mean, as much as it sucks, it is what it is. I mean, who are you going to point to hold them off? You can't have the school sit there and say, hey, Uncle so-and-so, get away. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they don't have that kind of power. They don't have that kind of, authority to keep people like that away. You can educate the kid as much as possible to be like, look at these signs that people are saying to you, these red flags, trying to people take advantage of you. You can educate, and that's part of what I'm saying, that where the school can have something to educate these kids incoming, especially the higher,
But that's what I mean, Pablo. You hit on a point. You hit on a point I was trying to make. Like, you actually articulated much better than I did. What I'm trying to say is that that year, right? They forego their senior athletic season because they're not foregoing their academic season. Their athletic season. What if, like you said, we put in place, okay, cool, but you have to come once a month or once whatever to seminars that the NCAA holds. right? To educate you, because now you have that time frame. See, come senior year, come spring, if you graduate early, you're going to play spring ball.
Right, you're going right into the fire as soon as you show up.
Right, you're ready to go into the fire, exactly. So what you have to do is let's take advantage of that time before that, because you're not going to have time, and it's not the same amount of time during your senior year when you're not playing. Cool, now you come to us, and now we educate you. Now we kind of like put our hands in there and let you know what to look for, what not to look for. But I don't think that's going to happen. It's just kind of like they're going to go their own way. They're a business, But more power to them, man. I think the guys that are taking the dive to go straight into Division I, hey, man, like you said, Dre, they're the elite of the elite.
And we're all kind of, to some extent, viewed as commodities by our jobs and by our employers, right? I mean,
pretty much.
That's what you're there. And then the one thing I'll take exception with, Mike, is you said, the things they get away with in high school, they might not in college. I'm from the generation where you could do crazier stuff in college than high school.
Yeah. So am I.
Yes, Dre.
I plead the fifth.
Yo, you're right. You're right about that. I ain't even gonna hold you on that one. All right, what do you call it? So we're gonna slide into our next topic. Pablo laid out a really interesting topic, and I felt like it really hit the mainstream at one point. And I think maybe with the political aspect that was going on, a lot of the activism that was going on in the NFL and things like that. So it was kind of like a pacifying headline. Hey, look what we're doing, the Rooney Rule, this, that. And he came up with a question, and he addressed it to the group, and we're addressing it to our audience. Minority coaching pipelines. Better yet, Pablo, you articulate. You give it to us the way you want to.
So Mike touched on it, right? Here and there over the past few years, you hear there aren't enough minority coaches in the NFL and college football, right? Specifically African-American coaches, because these two variations of football have traditionally had more African-American players. The NFL is about 70%, right? And, African-American in terms of versus any other race. So you would think just by logic over time that there would be more coaches, because some of these players, when they retire, will eventually transition to some type of coaching, whether in football, college or the NFL. So I'm not here to talk about whether there should be more coaches or not. I think at least within the six of us, we all agree that there should be, number one. But like you said, the media touches on it, the people that bring it up, but I never hear offer a viable solution. They don't even talk about a solution. They just complain about it.
They use it as
complain about the Rooney Rule. It sucks, or it should be changed, or it should be enforced, or nobody has ever offered a viable solution. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I have a solution either, because it is a difficult one. All I know is what I don't think a solution is to put a hardcore set number or percentage, of teams or amount of coaching positions available, from head coach, assistant coaches, coordinators, so on and so forth, right? Position coaches, but that's what I want to put out there to everyone, because I had kind of a hard time trying to think of something viable or, logical, sustainable, that can satisfy, quote unquote, I want to say it in quotes because the satisfaction in this is subjective, but that addresses this problem, And Mike, you kind of touch on what your thoughts were, and it got me thinking as to what could a solution be. So I don't want to get into it because you're going to get it, on and on.
No, give me your piece. I'm wide open.
I think there should be an organic program, a way to get these coaches trained in coaching, whether it's collegiate, or in the pros or anything like that. And I don't mean that, it's just head coaches. Someone needs to go from here to the head coach of the team. There's position coaches, right? There's lower levels to this, right? But get that foot in the door. But, show that you're viable, that you're legit for this coaching, and then focus on those people that are truly want to be coaches in football, male or female, doesn't matter, and help them, train them, and then help them with opportunities, that are out there. Use the same good old boy network that exists in the, like let's say in the NFL, because we do see it in the NFL. Some of these former coordinators that were head coaches, then they get recycled and get another opportunity. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say that once you were a head coach, you should never get another opportunity. But sometimes we keep hearing the same names from the past, right? They were really a great coordinator, and they get an opportunity, and they fail. Why they fail, it's going to vary. Maybe they did suck as a coach completely, or they just never got the support from the organization, never got the talent, and it just failed, right? Okay, if you get another shot, but sometimes we keep hearing the same names over and over and over and over again. You're like, all right, we got to have a healthy balance of, some coaches that have experience, but what are those, those viable names? Now, I don't know why when some of these minority coaches interview, why they don't get it, because part of that is a factor, is how they interview. You could be a great coordinator, position coach, but maybe you don't interview well for a head coaching job, depending on what that criteria is by every team, right, or every college, and if it's in college football. But I just kind of wanted to put it out there to everyone, what they think would be a better, long-lasting, uncontroversial as possible solution to this.
Dre, any thoughts?
Oh man, this is a good one. These owners are old, man, and they're set in their ways, and they're the ones that normally choose the people that are going to be the head coaches of their teams. Now, in the NBA and in the NFL, I think that we can all agree, whether it's subconsciously or whether we have ever thought about it, it's a lot of black position coaches and assistant coaches. A lot of them, man. It's just that title of coordinator, head coach, or head coach in the NBA seems to evade those guys. And for me, it's simple. No knock on anybody. Those guys are very old. Their money is very old. They got it a long time ago in their own way. There's no one that's going to knock them off and try to get them to do something different other than what has gotten them to a point of success. Even though the new thing might be the cool thing, that's not how these guys got to be so rich. And to me, that's generally what the problem is. Because other than that, if you look at Patrick Ewing, other guys that were assistants doing great jobs for years, nobody would be able to explain why those guys never got an opportunity, man. Never got called for interviews. Like, most of these guys don't even get the interview, Pablo. So they don't even get to show what they have. And I know that's deep, but that's where I'm at with it.
So no solution.
Not yet. Not till these juniors, not till the owners' juniors start owning the teams and they have a different outtake on life and the way stuff is now rather than the way it used to be back in the day. And I'm not knocking those guys. Those guys grew up in a certain environment. If you grow up in the dark, if a light just gets turned on all of a sudden, you're going to freak out. So it is what it is. It's sad, but it is what it is.
After actually Dre's take kind of sparked me to go in a different direction here. So I'll try and focus on what could be the solution. So the first thing I think is with the way that wealth is generated now, we're not talking about being rich. We're talking about wealthy, right? Like the way that wealth is generated now, there's a lot more younger people who can achieve wealth at a faster pace, right? Like true wealth because of because of innovation and a lot of different aspects of technology and such. So I think the bottom line is the purpose here is it's like everything else, like every industry that has lots of money at stake. It's generational between the people they bring in, the people that they know, the people that, I worked for this person at this past firm or vice versa. I'm going to bring them in. Like it's just being in the room, the good old boy network, however you want to call it. And the more coaches that are getting up there that are at black coaches, that are minority coaches, the more of the junior level positions up to coordinators you are going to see. So it's a thing. It's definitely, it takes time. And again, the solution is essentially continuing to have more upward mobility for minorities, period. Because it's not necessarily like, it's not the Dominique Wilkins and it's not the Reggie Miller. They're not buying the team like the ex-players who were really nasty. It's the ones who built wealth in different ways and they were basketball fans. So I think it's a function of making, a level playing field and just uplifting all the different minorities and especially Black Americans to reach those levels of ownership and things like that. And then they're going to call, like LeBron now has one of the most popular agents is a kid from Akron, right? Like he got in that room. And he got in that room because he was part of a network of somebody who got over to the top. And that's going to, and then you set that blueprint and it's more going to happen. So from a solution perspective, can the NFL have more networking endeavors, money behind it, things like that, where you're actually getting people in the room together? Because I don't think that you can actually say we need 50% of the head coaching or exposition. No. You can't do that. So I think it's a matter from a solution perspective of putting a little bit more money in there, but more than anything, getting a more diverse group in the room. And then I think it might have been Dre. Somebody had said it too. I mean, the more, ideally the younger generation of those families that are keeping it in the family are generally tend to be a little bit more open because of their experiences than having them bring in people who are running shows and things like that. And then success breeds success. Madri did it in Toronto. There's a higher chance that owner is going to be more comfortable with a black GM next time than the owner who's never had it or had one who didn't maybe do so well for any of those reasons. And Pablo basically said, hey, listen, you're either going to succeed or not succeed because you didn't have the talent. Like, you weren't good at the job. You're not going to succeed because the organization didn't support you. Or if you're a team in Florida, they just thought you grinded too hard. I mean, there's different aspects to why they may not support you. I hope you guys got that pun. Right?
I got it.
But no, that's my take, fellas. Love to hear your thoughts.
Usman, what you got?
So, so talking about the Rooney Rule, right? So Rooney's team, Steelers, their coach is black. Texans recently hired a black coach, Cully. We have 3 colored coaches, non-black but colored. The Jets, Washington, and Miami with Flores. So that's it. Their teams, there are about 7 teams in the NFL that have never had either a black coach or a GM or a person of color. The Patriots, the Saints, the Rams, the Jags, although the owner is a Pakistani guy, Cowboys, Falcons, and Titans. So what does it tell you about these teams? I mean, what one of you guys were saying, referencing that these owners who have, hung around a certain type of people and often if you think about it, at the jobs that you're at, right? If you're promoting someone from within, who are you promoting? I'm not promoting someone of a certain race. I'm promoting the person that I'm the closest to, the person that I trust. Now, if that person happens to be black, white, purple, or burgundy, I can care less. A lot of people our age feel the same way. A lot of people our grandparents' age may not feel that way, but that trend is changing. However, I've been a manager at previous jobs. I have hired people. Never in a job interview have I been like, this guy's so good, but I'm like, man. That's it. I'm going to lose out on my success because I'm as good as my weakest link. So no one thinks that. So I feel that the number one step is to hiring the right general manager. That's how you transition into a coach. Often the GM has a big say, not always 100%, but a big say in who the coach is going to be. And I feel that's how the Giants have had a colored GM. That's when you get ex-players involved. So keep in mind, like 40, 50, 80 years ago, it was primarily a white league, right? Slowly they started integrating. And look, more people of color have had multiple positions in different places, throughout coaching. So slowly we are evolving. We are trending towards getting there. The Rooney Rule, though, is a scam. I believe so. I feel like they just check mark. I interviewed this person and that person with zero intention to hire them. Exactly. However, I feel once in a blue moon, you get lucky with that one person that you may have never come across. So it's a good rule in a sense that something's better than nothing, but it's not a good rule as far as its effectiveness is concerned, because at the end of the day, you got to change the thought process of the owners, and you can't change that just like that when a push of a button. Javi.
Good take, Us.
So pretty much like what I was thinking is like I'll go like to Tony Dungy, right? Tony Dungy might have basically opened up the doors, right? Because what happens is that there has to be some type of success, right? And let's just take these owners. They're not. Let's just say they're from the old boys club. The good old boys club. So they're not there looking at Tony Dungy often. They're looking at somebody that they feel like they might be able to relate to, right? What does that relationship mean? Let's just take the elephant out of the room. Their color, right? They feel comfortable with the guy that kind of looks like them, probably. That's their mentality. Going forward, obviously, when we're talking about their kids, they're more open to basically, let's just say, gay people around them. You know what I'm saying? People that think of different religions and all that. So, it's coming. It's coming. But success, I think, from the head coach position or the GM position is a key thing, because let's take the Baltimore Ravens. You know what I'm saying? That GM is a master, of basically continuing to continue to put a great team on the field. All right. So what do? You know what I'm saying? Let's take a look at who's the quarterback now. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things have these little relationships that basically, if there's some type of success, no matter what color, you're going to tend to basically open up the doors a little bit more to, let's just say, a colored coach or a minority coach, right? Now, I just read a statistic, which is very weird, right? So the statistic basically says that pretty much almost 70% of the NFL players are people of color, right? And 35% are assistant coaches, but yet we have 5, So it's not what we're maybe hoping to have, but I do feel like as time continues, that number is going to continue to grow. As far as a solution, I don't really have one, but I will say is if you're successful, I think it just opens up the door. Lovie Smith, who was a coach after Tony Dungy on the Colts. He was also black as well, wasn't he?
Caldwell.
You see,
Jim Caldwell.
Went to the Super Bowl. He went
to the Super Bowl. Then he went to the Detroit Lions. I think he made it to the playoffs with the Detroit Lions.
he's a good coach.
Had a winning record and he got fired.
I thought he was a good coach. You know what I'm
Pretty
saying?
good coach. Yeah.
But and again, as I saw some of the comments, you know what I'm saying? So you got to look at the map, right? So sometimes it's just the where these locations and these hirings are at, So exactly. I got to give it up to Jennifer Vega for bringing that up as well.
Good take, Javi.
Thank you,
Mike. I think you're on mute.
We can't hear you, Mike. You've been muted. All right. Well,
listen, bro. Colombia and Uruguay are playing right now, so let me just shout that out, man.
0-0, man. 0-0.
This is good.
Yeah.
That's a
37th minute. 37th minute.
For soccer people out there, you're playing an away game right now. A tie is huge right now.
So are you saying it's nap time? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, for you.
Oh.
Do you have the
fired.
on ice?
Well,
or
but what do you? But what with that? Do you want milk with your honey or?
You guys hear me?
yeah.
Am I
I
coming through?
hear you now.
All right, guys. So it seems like there's two sets of solutions, right? One is a long-term solution, and then the other one is what we're kind of trying to dig in here, which is the short-term solution. The long-term solution being it's going to naturally work itself out as people of color, minorities start to build wealth in this country. You'll see, and the generations exit, a new generation will come in, and the change will happen slowly, right? And I think the argument is it's not proportionate to what the players are, to who's in the pool, to who's actually in the pool, right? So I was thinking a lot about this, right? And I went down, and for some reason during our pre-production, I could not articulate exactly what I was trying to come across. It was something in my mind saying some kind of minor league, some kind of system that is almost like an SAT where everybody has the same, and you have some kind of judging. But that I backed off of that, and I said to myself, step number one, transparency. I think right now there's a lack of transparency, right, of who's actually up for these jobs. Okay, I think it would behoove the NFL to say, okay, when you are interested in becoming a head coach, you have to throw your name into this pool. That pool becomes public knowledge, right? now it gives a more open source where people are comparing resumes, right? And they're looking around. And on the same board, owners can put up their criteria as it evolves and what they're looking for in a coach.
Right.
All right. So they could generally come out and say, hey, look, this is why we picked this person, because this was our criteria. Kind of like a draft. Hey, this is what we're looking for in a player. We need a linebacker. We need him to be this. We need him 3 or 4 year starter, blah, 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 from a SEC program. Right. And it kind of matches up. My issue becomes, right, and I've always had this issue, is the nepotism involved in the NFL. It goes unchecked. It goes completely unchecked. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not completely against it, because if you have a son that came up under you and learned from you and all that stuff, that's cool. But I also feel like because of this gap in generations, because a lot of the candidates of color don't have that father, or the father didn't have that opportunity to become a head coach, right? I think it needs to be weeded out. So, like, for instance, right, I want to be a head coach in the NFL. But when my father was in the NFL, the racism was so rampant, the bigotry was so rampant and blatant that he was never going to get an opportunity. He could have been a genius, right? So now I come along, and I'm coming along like it's my first time. Like, I'm brand new, right? Like, hey, I got the talent, but I haven't had the opportunity to show anybody. Now, player B, his father could have been in the league. He could have been a head coach because he got the opportunity, because he didn't face those obstacles. Now he comes along. Now his son gets the benefit of the doubt because he came up under an NFL head coach. So how do a lot of times that's how it happens. You know what I mean? That's how it goes. Or you came up under a head coach that you knew, or you were a college player of his, whatever. How do we negate that? Number one, I feel like we make everything public. This is who was out there. Because I don't know if you've ever noticed this. If you ask, like when you're who wants to be a head coach, Eric Bieniemy. Yeah, the news kind of say Eric Bieniemy, but when you ask Eric Bieniemy, when the time comes, if the opportunity, he gives you that politically correct answer. What if we could go into a portal? Oh, Eric Bieniemy as a candidate. This guy's a candidate. This guy's a candidate. This guy's a candidate. Now it kind of almost holds these owners' feet to the fire. You know what I mean? Because now there's a metric and it's something to look at. Because think of it like this. Think of it in blocks of color. There's 10 white blocks, 10 black blocks, 10 brown blocks, right? And you put them all in a square. And when you look at it, you notice that only the 10 white blocks were taken out of the equation. Now, people are going to look at that and be like, whoa. Where right now it's kind of a guessing game. We're saying there's a lot of excuses on why it happens. Oh, there's no real proof that it's happening. Are we sure? So then the NFL comes out and they pacify us. I personally was insulted by the Rooney Rule. Insulted by it. Why? Because the Rooney Rule insinuates that I wasn't qualified and I needed you to give me this rule in place to force people to give me the opportunity, when it should have been seen from the door that I was that guy, that I was that dude.
So the
You
other
know
thing,
what I mean? So my thing is transparency. If I got to narrow down my entire argument is narrowed down to transparency, holding these people to the fire. Because unfortunately, I'm not a cancel culture guy. I'm not, right? But let me tell you something. When that pressure is put on, and all of a sudden the money starts to kind of divulge because they see what's happening, then and only then would change happen. You know what I mean? You got to hit these owners in their pocket. These billionaires,
Mike,
they only understand money.
the only thing I would say to your point of the transparency, not the concept of transparency, because I think transparency will always be one of the best ways to put the heat on entities or in people or whatever. Let me just do a little devil's advocate, because you mentioned 10 white blocks, 10 black blocks, 10 female blocks, right? Because there's female coaches and starting, in the NFL. I'm for that, as long as nobody sits there and says, okay, you took a white block this time, next time you better take a black block.
That's my issue.
So as long as if the pattern is clear, like you said, they take all 10 and the others are still sitting there. All right, now we see, okay, what the hell's going on, right? Other side of that, a lot of
times people take the assumption. I'm my bad. Go ahead, Pablo. I don't mean to
no. So because there's always especially these things are subjective, right? And that's why when I thought of this topic, I knew it was going to be hard for anyone to really say here's a viable solution, because it's so many layers to this, right? So many layers on, because in a perfect world, right? In a perfect world, you're qualified, you should get hired, regardless of whatever. But we know that's not the world that we've been in, and that's not the world that we're in right now.
I got one word. I got 2 words for you. Adam Gase.
Yeah.
Adam mother effing Gase.
Yeah, that's a one and done.
that's
That should have been a one and done.
It's just, I'd like to say something about this. See, you have to understand about transparency that a lot of NFL teams don't want that information out there because it could be looked upon the wrong way, kind of like what Pablo's saying. Like, what if there were 10 blocks and coincidentally at the time, I chose all 10 black or all 10 white. I'm not a person that's looking at someone's color. I'm getting the best block for me. Sometimes the next 10 blocks in sequence for me happen to have been all white. I'm not saying that that's my preference.
No, Usman, unfortunately, history has told us, right? And the NFL acknowledges this. This is not my opinion. The Rooney Rule and the NFL Owners Association has acknowledged this, that you are the unicorn. They wouldn't be issuing it and addressing it the way they're addressing it if you were the majority, the way you think.
Yeah, I agree with you, but the owners don't think that way. I totally agree with you. But I feel what I'm saying is that putting all that information out there puts the wrong kind of pressure out. It reveals information. Who are your candidates? What's your thought process and what type of person you go for?
I think that's the right type of pressure.
Well, check this out, right? The way I was thinking about it was the candidates are the public. They're the ones that are out there. Their names are out there, right? Your criteria is your criteria, and it's only exposed post-hire.
So look at it this way. What are most of the time you hire an ex-player who becomes a coach, right? So an ex-player, regardless of color, has a relationship, has a built rapport, he gets a chance. I'm talking about people who get a chance out of the blue. Coaching tree. Often player Brian Flores under Bill Belichick got the opportunity. His color wasn't the reason he was hired. No. Now, he may have been interviewed because of his color, and Miami was maybe going through the check marks. You'd know better. But I don't know. I feel that he's an outstanding coach.
I want to commend Pablo because this topic, we could talk about it an entire episode. It's freaking phenomenal. But for time restraints, we're going to move on.
Adam Gase went to the playoffs, man.
Yeah, Usman. Simple math as far as the you know what, Mike, go ahead. I don't want to keep
No. I wanted to move on because I know that there's another hot topic that we were like just the private chat alone. I figured let's close it out with this one right here, and then we'll just do our predictions. But maybe you guys will see it. Did you put it up?
Let me jump in with one sentence for the last one, really quick. I think it's important to also know we're not our grandparents' generation. Like, for us to be told that change is coming and it's slow is not okay. We want it much faster. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're right.
It's a good way to. It's a good way to.
Good way to close it out. Okay, appreciate that. All right, so this is hilarious. Hot take: Lamar Jackson is not getting a fair shake, right?
About to get my popcorn.
But the hot take of the day is our man Uzi G says that right now, today, he would take Daniel Jones over Lamar Jackson.
I mean, I didn't say it like that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
He wants the big match.
I'm showing you after 4 games
we got chat
that Daniel Jones has a significantly better passing percentage, top 2 in the league in PFF. Also, Dan Jones is just a point ahead in QBR to Lamar. Both suck, both under 60, so it's nothing to be proud of. So what I'm saying, if 2 guys who aren't very good, who do you want between the 2 guys? I'd want someone who could throw the ball instead of someone that could run the ball, regardless of you being an athlete that is freakishly talented and gifted. I'm not talking about that. We have running backs for that reason.
I want the 3-1 and not the 1-3. How about that?
I mean, Giants could have been 4-0.
Hey, man, everything could have been something. I could have been president.
I could have been Chinese, but my man banged an Ecuadorian. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
man,
Get out of here with that.
This is the
I
bias.
could have been born in America and played in the NFL instead of being a soccer player.
And this is
Yes,
a
but at
bias
the end of the
against-
day, the guy
This is a-
drops a wide open catch. It's not on Dan Jones.
This is a bias of
It
saying
is, man.
old school football has to be a certain way, and if you have all the tools, you shouldn't use all the tools because we're used to
Right.
seeing before. So let's say you have a restaurant, and let's say you have a chef. Let's call the chef Raekwon, right? Let's
Right.
say Raekwon the chef can make
Wu-Tang,
awesome
baby.
food.
Good
Let's say
shit,
he can
AK.
make awesome food, but he can also really connect with customers. Do you tell him, Raekwon, just stay your ass in the back? I don't want
kitchen.
you going out. If he can sometimes go out there, connect with customers because it's better for the overall product being given.
And the
I mean,
customers like it.
But what if Raekwon stops cooking food? That's my problem.
But he
Because
never
you have
has.
three
The
The
quarterbacks.
numbers don't support
He
that.
hasn't.
The numbers,
The numbers
don't
Numbers do
support
not
that.
support that.
This
What
guy was
doesn't
number
stop
2 in the
cooking
league
support
in pass
about that? Let's
touchdowns
see.
in 2 years ago. I mean, you don't win an MVP by just running the ball if you're a quarterback.
That's how he won it. That's exactly
no,
how
it's
he won
not.
it.
Look at the numbers.
No, bro.
Look at his
No, bro.
touchdown
So-
pass numbers. And they didn't
Listen
have
to me.
any receivers.
There's and what happens in the playoffs? One and done?
No.
Hey, people
He actually
all
won
have
last
to grow,
year.
man. Peyton Manning didn't win a Super Bowl till what, his 9th season?
Because his
Aaron
defense
Rodgers
does.
has
If
won.
you give Peyton
Drew
Manning
Brees
this
has
Ravens
won.
defense, he would have won a
Marino
Super
has
Bowl
won.
every year.
I'm sorry.
That's not true.
Wait. What
Yeah,
Peyton
but
That's
Manning are we
not true.
talking about?
With the
Danny
same
Jones won it.
offensive
Are we
weapons,
talking Peyton Manning year 4?
you're bugging, bro.
Yes.
Peyton Manning had Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, Dallas
Edgerrin
Clark,
Dallas Clark,
Edgerrin James.
Edgerrin
Let
James.
me tell you something, bro. And
Brandon
one of the
Stokely.
baddest play callers, they could go play action anytime they effing wanted to. So,
3 points.
And
I
also,
think.
Uzi,
Man.
remember, it's team building, right? Like, you have a certain amount of money. If you pay all those receivers, you're not going to have a good defense. If
Right.
you choose,
That I agree with.
Baltimore chooses to make their team from their defense. And also, guess what? If you have a quarterback who could do what he does, you can afford to put more money on defense.
exactly.
Not only
If you-
that, right? Not only that, but it's a false narrative that he's not a good passer right now. He's not the ideal passer, but it's not that he's not a good passer.
He's actually one
He's
of the
good
better,
enough.
He's actually one of
Yeah,
the best
how
quarterbacks.
come?
He's
I got
good
a question
enough.
for you. How come, right? How come we don't say Deshaun Watson? Because the knock used to be that he couldn't win a playoff game. He wins a playoff game. Oh, he can't beat the Chiefs. He beats the Chiefs, right?
Right.
He does something, right? He runs. I would say he's a better runner of the football than Aaron Rodgers is a passer, and Patrick Mahomes is a passer of the football. That's how skilled he is at running the ball.
That's a tough.
He is.
That's how skilled he is.
He's a
Just think
99
about it.
at
We're
running.
having a
He's
conversation
99
about
at
a
running.
quarterback, and all I keep hearing from every single one of you, a runner this, runner that. I mean,
that,
it's,
so
it's,
let-
Because
it's
Can
the
the ref-
wrong position.
can the ref-
man. Like, you guys
can the
are all
ref
making
throw
my
a-
point for me.
Can the
No,
ref
no.
throw a flag? Can the ref throw a flag if he runs it 25 times in a row?
Yep, offensive holding.
No, that means it's legal and it's allowed. It's a part of the game. It's not the
Part
part
of
of
the
the
game.
game
Good
that
call.
you're used to.
Javi,
But it's
hold
a
on,
part
hold
of
on.
the game.
Holding
It's
his
a
own
tactic.
passing downs, not running so much.
It's
hey,
a
let me hear
tactic.
Javi. Javi had a good couple of takes on the what he called.
He's waiting. He's waiting.
So
Yeah, it's on you.
let's just talk about the franchise of the Ravens, known for defense, right?
All the time.
All right. So if we're gonna go and take a look at what happened once Lamar Jackson became quarterback, his MVP season, and they were number 1 in points in the NFL, number 2 in total yards in offense.
Exactly.
So let me ask you something, Usman. Was that the defense or was that Lamar Jackson?
Defense.
All right.
Because you have to understand. Because you
All
have to
right. So wait a
understand.
minute. Let me get this straight. The
What sport
defense
is he talking
scored.
about?
Yeah.
Football or cricket?
The defense scored the most amount of points in the NFL for the Ravens offense. You know what, man? You know, with that take.
What if you have a
go
short
ahead.
field? What if you start every drive at the
Then you don't
20-yard
lead the
line?
league in yards.
They were number 2 in yards
need
in
to
the
lead in yards.
Let's
NFL
see.
that year. They
You
also
don't
got
need
the
the league
second
in
most
yards in a short
yards.
field.
Right now, they're number
Let's see.
4. Right now, they're number 4. As a matter of fact,
Switch.
if we
Okay,
take
I got a question. Usman, I asked you this question before. Right now, if I said, "Hey, Giants, we'll trade you Daniel Jones for Lamar Jackson," would you do it right now?
I would.
Hell yeah.
I would not, because I don't
On
want to
behalf
mortgage
of
my
the
future.
Giants, On behalf of the Giants, I'm tying Usman up, duct taping his mouth.
I'll take Deshaun Watson right now. I'll take him. I really want the New York Giants to make a move on Deshaun Watson. That's who I want. I like him. I like Kyler Murray. I like what's his name?
How do you not like Lamar Jackson? How do you
not? Because I'm not a fan of Lamar Jackson because I don't like his style of football. It's not
too many massage parlors in New York for Deshaun Watson, brother.
Which is why he's gonna be happier.
But at least they're hidden in New York City. Nobody will know. You know what I'm saying?
He doesn't have to fly him to Houston. See, that's how he got caught. He was paying for hotel rooms, and then things got out of him. So,
oh shit! All right, fellas. So we're man, listen. Time flies when you're having fun, bro. And these topics seem to have been like big hitters. So either we come back to them, or we're gonna have to figure that out. But
one more. 25 years of the Baltimore Ravens franchise. They've been ranked in the top 10 in points 7 times. In the last 3 years, all 3 times out of those 7 times. That's not the defense. That's called Lamar Jackson, baby.
Lamar Jackson. We'll have to verify those stats.
All right, guys. Let's close out. Big game tonight. Big hitter game tonight. LA Rams versus Seattle Seahawks. Pablo, what you got?
I got the Rams taking care of business tonight. They're going to drop a lot of points. That Seattle defense sucks right now. So I'm thinking 38-24 Rams.
Okay, that's spoken like a guy that has a lot of Rams on his fantasy team. All right, Dre, what you got?
Stafford and Cup, yep.
Dre, what you got?
I got 27-21 Rams. I feel like Seattle's not going to be able to compete with that offense, man. Their defense not really that good. And what happened to Russell Wilson?
Nothing. He's got 9 touchdowns. He's got 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He ain't doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, but he's not doing Russell Wilson's. I mean,
they're losing.
You look at him from before.
Both losses, they lost the leads.
Okay, what you got?
You know, first of all, Pops, props to saying that Seattle's going to lose by 14 at home.
That's a big.
That ain't the 12th man no more.
Yeah,
so, defense.
I think the Rams are a better team today. I think that 12th man advantage is real. I think this is going to. I think Russell Wilson's a heck of a football player. I actually still have him above Matt Stafford if I'm picking my team right now as an overall football player. I think it's going to be a really close game. I am going to go with the Seahawks by 3. So I'm going 27-24 Seattle.
Okay. What do you got, Usman?
I will take Russell Wilson over Lamar Jackson any day.
Come on,
also,
I would too.
He wasn't the MVP. I'd take him even that year. Anyway,
that's not even a question, though.
Even that year, even the MVP year, I'll take Russell Wilson of that year. Anyway, so Rams are favored actually on the road by 1.5 as per the spread. Carson's not playing, so that guy Collins is going to be the running back. Metcalf is going to be, I'm guessing, locked by Ramsey. So it's going to be a lock-it type of game. I feel that last year the Rams swept the Seahawks 20-9 and 23-16. So they, I'm sorry, no, they did not. 20-9 was Seahawks, so they split it. So I feel the Rams are going to win 26-23. 26-23. I was going to go 27-24, but I took a point of maybe more field goals, less touchdowns.
Javi, we got a minute. We got a minute. Go ahead, Javi.
Yeah, so I just feel the Rams are going to win. They're going to win like 31-27. And Matt Stafford's going to rush in for a rushing touchdown.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's a good. Oh, all right. That's a take.
I like to do that. Just put that.
Robert Woods is going to rush in for a touchdown.
Are you saying he's going to ram it in?
He's going to ram it in.
I'm going to say 27-24 Rams. There's a stat out there that says a team that did not cover the spread the week before is like 7-3 against teams that did make the spread the next week. So my pick is the Rams, 27-24. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Enjoy the game. See you next week.
Peace out, everyone.